G'day, we're your A-League couch critics. My name's Sogg.
And I'm Brad.
And today we're talking about the top 10 A-League exports.
Thanks for putting your fingers up, just in case people didn't know how much 10 was.
I'm from Bathurst, so I could have 11 fingers. But, yeah, let's start off the list. Number 10 is Daniel Arzani. Now, this one's a bit controversial, but I thought he should be part of the list because he's got such great potential. I think when that World Cup happened and there was a bit of buzz about his performances in the A-League, he drew attention to the A-League. So I reckon that's why he's on this list. Going to Man City, not just to be loaned back to the A-League, was quite a big move. And his injury at Celtic has really, put a damper on it.
Yeah. Because we all knew the potential he had. And that banging goal we saw before he scored against Hungary. Yeah. A lot of talent.
Yeah.
It might be a bit controversial to have him on this list. I mean, we both agreed on this list. And this was one I thought was a bit, who knows. But can't wait for him to get fit again and see him going again. Because, he definitely has that potential.
He's going to be dynamite in Europe. So number 10, I reckon, because he started, at Melbourne City and just progressed. Obviously got enough attention in the youth league to demand, first team football. And that season he had in the A-League was great. He really was an excitement to watch. I can't wait to see him back on the pitch and back for the Socceroos.
Now, number 9 we had on the list. When we go through this, just to find a lot of players that have normally left at the A-League to go to European clubs. We've actually got a guy that's gone to Asia, Sasha Ogdanovsky. Hopefully I didn't bomb that pronunciation. Ogdanovsky. Butchered it, whatever. Anyway, he was at Adelaide United and he was at Melbourne Victory, and then he went over to Sungnam in South Korea, and he was instrumental in their run towards the Champions League in 2010. Obviously, they won the title, but he was also named the MVP for the tournament, and he was named the best AFC player for the year. That's a pretty good rap.
He's the only Australian to have ever won Asian Footballer of the Year. That's massive. He was a great centre-back and a rock in the defence. Never really played all that much for the Socceroos. But, I mean, in terms of importance as an export, to leave the A-League and go and win an Asian Champions League, huge.
Yeah, I think at least from the Socceroos perspective, he only caught the attention after he got those accolades when he won the title, he won the Player of the Year. But I remember him starring at the 2011... Was it 2011 Asian Cup? I think he scored a goal against Uzbekistan in the semi-final. So, it's a bit different there with an Asian player that's going on to play in Asia. But number 8 on this list.
Yeah, we've got Awa Mabil, currently playing over for Midtjylland in the Danish Superliga. The kid is dynamite. And if we were doing this maybe in 5-6 years, I reckon he'd be higher on the list. I think he's got a future ahead of him. He's won a Danish Cup with them, and he's just the joy in his face when he's playing football. He loves football. He was great at Adelaide United.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think we can expect big things from him. But he's already started to. He's a first teamer for Midtjylland. He's first on the team sheet. He's awesome.
He's fantastic. He's got some pace on him too, and like you said, he just seems so happy to be playing football. And he really loves playing for the Socceroos.
Yeah, Brad, who's at number 7?
Number 7, we have Mitch Langerak, goalkeeper. Unfortunately, we heard he got coronavirus, so hopefully we wish him all the best recovery from there. He's playing for Nagoya Grampus in Japan, but before he had a spell at Melbourne Victory. That's kind of where he built himself. Before he went overseas, he signed with Borussia Dortmund. I think he got a few runs when... Who was the main goalkeeper at Dortmund back then?
Yeah, he was mostly second string to...
Was it Weinfeller or someone?
I can't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head. So he was never really getting the starts he wanted, but still getting a few runs in the Bundesliga. That's great. Not many players have gone from the A-League into the Bundesliga. He was also at Stuttgart. He then went to Levante in Spain, and now he's at Japan. But yeah, so what do you make of him during his time in the A-League?
Yeah, he was always kind of... Well, for the Socceroos, he's always kind of been second string. But when he was in the A-League, he was pretty good. He was a solid goalkeeper for Melbourne Victory. And that was around the time they were looking really solid. I think that's when they won.
Yeah, played from 2007 to 2010. So
yeah.
they would have got a title there.
they were really strong then, and he was part of a really good defence. So Mitch Langerack, yeah, I mean, we've got quite a big list of Aussie goalkeepers who have gone on to be great, but he's definitely up there.
Yeah. The number 6, bit of controversy here.
Yeah.
Everyone's favourite player to get on the hate for, Robbie Cruz. Now listen, hear us out. He's been a while since he's probably been in his peak, but remember, he went from the A-League to being a regular starter until he kept getting injured at Bayer Leverkusen, a top team in Germany.
Huge club, yeah, that's right. I think he's a bit of a meme nowadays, but Robbie Cruz, when he was playing for Melbourne Victory, was dynamite, and then to go straight into a Bundesliga side, he was fantastic, and we give him a lot of stick for his performances for the Socceroos, but he's had a fantastic career.
Yeah, I don't think he's probably deserved that stick. I think he's been a bit of a scapegoat for the Socceroos. I don't think our performances fall back on just one guy. Yeah, no. I mean, should he have been there that whole time? Well, maybe not. I'm not the coach. I don't pick the team. But I think a bit like Harry Kill, that this guy was never been able to reach his full potential because of injuries. Obviously, Harry Kill, a much more fantastic player.
There's a lot of comparisons between Robbie Cruz and Harry Kewell, though, in his early career. He was that kind of dynamite, kind of attacking midfielder, could play right across the front line, either as a striker, on the wings, or behind the striker. He shows so much potential and got there a little bit in Germany, but unfortunately his career just didn't quite go the way it should have.
Yeah.
Next one is another player who's gone to the Bundesliga. We seem to have a good relationship there. Matt Leckie. Still playing in the Bundesliga, but started his career back at Adelaide United.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed watching Matt Leckie playing for the Socceroos, and he must have been in Adelaide quite a while ago, because I don't remember too much of him playing in the A-League, but he's definitely gone on to be quite a successful player. In terms of what we do have in the Socceroos playing in Europe, he was, when he first went to Hertha Berlin, he was starting a bit more. I think he's on the outer now at Hertha, and I think he's expressed his desire to leave the club.
Yeah. It'd be great to see him back in the A-League. I think he's still got a couple of years at a decent European club. But I remember him bursting onto the scene for Adelaide United. He was so quick, and he was good with the ball, and he got himself in really good positions. Really exciting time, kind of that late 2000s in the A-League.
And he really, he caught my attention with Ingolstadt in Germany. They were a relegated team, but he... can't remember off the top of my head, but he must have been close to scoring 10 goals with a very ordinary side in Germany. And then he got that good move to Hertha, which probably hasn't worked out the best he could have hoped for, but really love Matt Leckie, and if he's going to leave Hertha to get more game time, I hope he finds himself a good club. And I think he's, on his day, he's a player that could slot into a mid-table team in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think he'd be well fit. He'd fit into a squad kind of anywhere in Europe's top 5 leagues. Somewhere like France or somewhere like Spain maybe could be good for him. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Number 4 on the list, Tommy Rogic.
Yeah, Tommy Rogic, what a champion. I love watching him play.
Yep. One of the great group of Mariners players that have gone on to greater things. 5, 6, 7 years ago, Mariners were just pumping out some great players, and we'll probably get on to another one on this list, but Tommy Rogic got that move from... I think he played about 10 games in one season for the Mariners, played another 10, and then he got that move straight to Celtic. I think he got started straight away, got an assist within his first game.
Yeah. But, I mean, the impact he's had at Celtic, they love him there. I mean, he won them the Scottish Cup last year with a banging goal against Rangers. He loves scoring against Rangers, which always puts him in my good books. But, again, he's another player who's really struggled with injury, but on his day... he's so creative. He's great with the ball. And he was a bit like that in the A-League too. You could see he looked a bit like Bambi on ice sometimes. A bit too, big for himself. But then he puts it on that left rocket and boom, top corner.
I can't remember if it was true or not. At one stage there was a potential link with Arsenal for him, a potential move to Arsenal?
Yeah.
It could have just been a rumour, so I don't know if how legit it was.
I think there was a little bit of rumour. In my Football Manager save, he just joined Manchester United for 23 million. Wow. Unbelievable.
Wow. Number 3, Mile Jedinak, another former Mariners player that I think he was at Sydney United before he went to Mariners, and I think as a player, he kind of developed not at like an early age, 18, 19. It was around the mid-20s that we kind of saw how greater potential Mile Jedinak went before he went overseas after the Mariners.
Just imagine his career if he had kind of burst onto the scene a bit earlier. Like, I reckon he would have gone to move to Europe a lot quicker. We saw him go over to Turkey, and he was a fairly big part of that Turkish side.
Yeah, we're not going to try pronouncing that. That's not just even a chance.
But he was pretty good. But then he really made his mark in the Premier League, or Championship and Premier League with Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
he's a club legend, number 15 over there. They loved him, and he was huge. And he was still playing pretty well for Aston Villa, kind of after his time at Crystal Palace ended. Yeah. And he's been monumental for the Socceroos as well.
Yeah.
Remember watching him score 3 penalties against Honduras to send us to the World Cup?
Yeah, and he had a knack of scoring penalties because we just could not score from open play. Even at the World Cup, he got the... Did he get a penalty? He got it against France?
Yeah.
And then against... Not Denmark. No, Denmark did... No.
Yeah, can't remember.
He seemed to be the only guy that could score for us. I do remember him scoring against the Netherlands in the 2000s. What a crazy game that was against the Netherlands in 2014. I remember Timmy Cahill and the commentary that you've probably seen online about the Australian commentary. But yeah, he was Mr. Reliable from the spot.
And I mean, he was the captain at Crystal Palace. That beard, he's got to be one of our best A-League products to go out and just make a name for himself. And he made the Socceroos look good. He made Australia look good. He was never on the wrong side of things. He was always just super professional, did his job, and was a fantastic player.
Yep.
But not quite as good as our top 2. I think you probably know who they are. So before we get to our top 2, Brad, do you want to give us some honourable mentions?
Yes, our honourable mentions. Now, we come up with probably about 15, 16, 17 players that we thought we probably didn't want to put on the list. And there were some good ones that we thought maybe, but they probably just missed out. I mean, Mustafa Amini, great talent.
Yeah.
Did he go to Dortmund?
Yeah, he went to Dortmund and now he's playing in Denmark.
Yeah. Isaac Beach.
Isaac Beach.
Flashback.
Ogdanovsky.
End of flashback.
Another Turkish word that I can't say.
Yeah, but he's played back in the A-League, but yeah, over in Turkey. He got that move to PSV as well with Trent Sainsbury, but that never quite worked out.
We also had Adam Taggart on the list.
Yeah, cracking it in South Korea at the moment. Top scorer last season.
Yeah, last season. I think he started this season a bit slow, but I think we've seen him in the A-League at the Jets in Perth. He can score goals. We went to Fulham, probably couldn't crack it, came back, now he's gone to South Korea. Yeah, he has the potential to be a real banging goal threat for the Socceroos in the future. Yeah. We also had Tommy Orr, and I think Tommy Orr's another player that's probably a bit unlucky not to get on this list.
He had some great years in the Netherlands, and he's always just been that little step. He's small and quick, but maybe just didn't quite have the physical capabilities to crack it in Europe. And he's come back and he's been okay for a couple of clubs in the A-League. He's definitely had that potential. He's always been a good player, and he's been.
We also had Nick Carl on the list, which is probably one that people might not actually think of. Yeah. But after the A-League, he went to Crystal Palace, but he was also Bristol City before that as well.
Yeah, he's had an interesting career. Nick Carl, one of my favourite players for Sydney FC. He played well for the Jets beforehand. Always kind of in and around the Socceroos squad. But then he went overseas and he was a fairly decent championship player. Someone else who probably could have made the list but didn't quite was Massimo Luongo, who's been a kind of ever-present in the championship.
I don't think he played in the A-League though.
Oh, he didn't either. Yeah.
I think he was an IPR Leichhardt junior and then he went straight to Spurs.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's unbelievable that someone like Massimo Luongo actually never was in a junior setup with an A-League club.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think, it's one of the big things, it's the debate about the A-League is, are we producing the same amount of talent as we could have? Well, these next 2 on the list probably show that we've still got a good chance of creating some fantastic youngsters. So at number 2, who have we got, Bradley?
We got probably one of my favourite Socceroos right now, Matty Ryan.
Yeah,
junior at Marconi, spent some time at Blacktown City as well before he became a regular starter at the Central Coast Mariners.
He's just unreal the career that he's had. You know, going from the Mariners over to Belgium.
Yep,
And,
Club Brugge.
Club Brugge, and he took off over there. I think he was voted goalkeeper of the season his first year there. And then he got that huge move to Valencia, but unfortunately it was just the wrong time. Valencia were a shambles.
Yeah.
Gary Neville was manager.
Yeah, he didn't last long. But he went on loan to Genk, didn't he, for a bit?
Yeah. So Valencia looked like a wrong move, but then he moved back to Genk and again had a fantastic season in Belgium. And now look at him, like really consistent Premier League goalkeeper.
Yep.
People talking about him all the time. He's still young as well in goalkeeping terms. Like he's still got quite a few years to really cement himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on from Brighton to a bigger club.
Yeah. I think, he'll probably at Brighton at the moment. Even if they don't get relegated, I could definitely see him going up to a bigger club. What do you reckon? What kind of club do you reckon he could decide? Oh, I assume he'll probably stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't think he'll crack quite a top 4 club, but I reckon he could play for someone like a Leicester, even maybe...
Leicester is a top 4 club right now.
Well, that's true.
But when you think of a traditional top
They're
4
not
club in
traditional
England.
top 4. Yeah, maybe a Leicester, maybe an Everton.
Yeah, they're definitely not
some
top
clubs
4.
who are big though, a bit bigger, a bit more resources, with real loyal fan bases. I reckon he could make himself a real fan favourite in England.
Yeah, for sure. Number 1, so what do we have?
Well, I'm pretty sure you've guessed it. As far as A-League products who have been the best, Aaron Moy. I don't think... Matt Ryan's close, but Aaron Moy genuinely dictates Premier League matches. Unreal for a kid who... You know, he went over to England with Brighton originally.
No, he was at Bolton and St Mirren in Scotland, and I think it didn't really work out for him. So he came back. He joined the Wanderers. He's one of the club's first 3 signings.
But that's when his career really took off. For the Wanderers, he was fantastic and had a good couple of seasons there. And then when City took him, he just stepped it up a level. He was by far the best player in the A-League for a good 2 seasons when he was with City.
I was pretty devastated that when, as a Wanderers fan, when he left the club to go to Melbourne City, I was like, he's a great player. And then from Melbourne City, he just went to another level. Yeah. And that's where he got, I think, his player of the season, was he?
Yeah. And then he made his move to Manchester City, obviously bought him and then loaned him out to Huddersfield. And he smashed the championship and Huddersfield
went
made
to the Premier League, scored the first home goal for Huddersfield in the top flight for over... in the top flight in the early 70s, so it was their first home goal in almost 40 years, and he scored that goal. It was against Manchester United. Yeah,
and now he's made the move to Brighton with Matty Ryan. He's still playing pretty well, but I think he's still got another gear and a better club to go to. I reckon if he can get himself to a proper mid-table club, he'll be smashing it.
Yeah.
But he's been fantastic, not only overseas, but for the Socceroos as well. As far as A-League talents go... He's probably the best. Yeah,
and I think the top 2 are selected. I probably would have favoured a bit more towards Matty Ryan being number 1, but these top 2 have picked. They're class players, and no offence to the other list here, but I think they're probably the 2 standout players that the A-League have developed.
Yeah.
For Down. I think Mile Jedinak probably went over to England later in his life, but Aaron Moy's still at a young age where he still has a lot more years in him. So does Matty Ryan.
Yeah.
And I think, I know the A-League Cup's a lot of slack for, we're not developing enough players, and I think, around the time when we made the World Cup in 06, that was a golden generation. That was the best squad we ever had. And I think comparing it to it's a bit harsh because I still think we are developing quality players, and the routes are more different. Asia's a much more the better. Well, not necessarily a better option, but it's more of an option than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Let us know who you think the best A-League export has been. Somebody who started their career here in Australia and then gone on to better things. We'd love to hear. And maybe in another video we'll talk about the 5 or 10 youngsters we reckon could make it in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, so get in the comments, let us know. If we got something completely wrong, show us a bit of love. Give us a nice bit of feedback. But yeah, we just love to hear your thoughts. Get in the comments, let us know.
And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more. See you next time.
See ya.
Sick.